Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spirit Plant Medicine. My name is Mark Cron, and I'm here with my good friend and cohort, Stephen Gray, and we are here to speak with some other great friends of ours about their upcoming project. But first of all, hey, Stephen, how are you?
All right. I've got big muscles from all the snow shoveling I've been doing for the last several days.
Yeah, join the club.
Yep.
Well, it's that time of year where, the weather's been crazy. It's just what it's been for the past, year and a half anyways. And, at least it's makes for kind of a nice white Christmas almost, depending on the rain. But,
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
going to be a wet Christmas here,
yes,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
But enough of the weather because, we always talk about the weather. It's such a Canadian thing and a common thing. What I'm interested in talking today is with Tom and Eden from Portland, Oregon. Tom Hatzis and Eden Woodruff.
Hmm.
Welcome. How are you
Thanks.
guys doing?
Thanks, Mark.
Chilling, Mark. Thanks for having us, and thanks, Stephen, as well.
Sure.
Chilling. That's funny. Is it cold down there in Portland?
Yeah, we just had a little bit of an ice storm last night,
Hmm.
and Portlanders are not traditionally too advanced with dealing with snow, so it's pretty much everything just shuts down. I mean, this is the only place I've ever been to where people don't go to work if it's too windy out. So like, like any reason to not do their jobs is amazing.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
this time there actually is because the
Well,
roads are icy.
Yeah.
that's a great segue because I've been looking at the work you guys are up to these days, and I think being inside right now gives you time to work on your latest project.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
before they answer that question, Mark, I would like to ask another question as background, because I'm assuming there might be some people that are not familiar with what's going on in Oregon with psilocybin and in Portland in particular. So could you guys start with a bit of background on that whole situation with the legalization and all that? And then that could segue into what you're doing, I think,
Sure.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah, so psilocybin service centers are popping up in Oregon. They're going to start serving the medicine in next year. And so, yeah, the service centers, there's a few counties in Oregon where that's going to be happening. And but they come with a price tag of about $2,000 at least per session. And so for most people, for a lot of people, that's not going to be very accessible. Many organizations are trying to come up with ways to make that more accessible. And we think we've come up with one way and also in addition to psilocybin right now, MDMA is slated to become legal next. And ketamine is currently federally legal, but that also has roughly the same price tag. So it's still pretty inaccessible to most people.
Yeah, we'll be starting with ketamine again because
Mm-hmm.
it's already legal. And the psilocybin assisted therapy, there's going to be slightly more hoops to jump through because it's not going to be federally legal the way MDMA is going to be federally legal. So while we're starting with ketamine and we would like to branch out into psilocybin first, depending on how the laws work, we have to sort of exist within that. So however that ends up unfolding, we're going to unfold with it.
Mhm. Hey, let's get one fact issue straight here because I hadn't heard about this. What is the actual situation with MDMA federally?
So federally, it's not legal yet, but MAPS, I believe, is they are either entering their phase 3 testing or they just completed it. I know they were doing something with their phase 3 testing. I don't recall exactly what it was though, but it seems to be coming along faster than psilocybin therapy again because it's in the United States. It's being looked at through the federal level, not on the state level, which is what psilocybin therapy is. But there's also one of the good things about that is since psilocybin therapy is going to be at the state level, we can just go to our municipal buildings and see how we can get involved or what the laws are going to be like. We're going to be way closer to the action. So it's, right now we're just seeing which one is going to kind of take off first and we'll be supporting that.
Hmm. Yeah. So what are you, you and perhaps other people there, prioritizing in terms of a target population, like what conditions, what, et cetera?
Financial need.
You're right, but what about what the condition, the presenting conditions, or why they would do this? What are you
So,
focusing on there?
Oh, sure.
well, with psilocybin, you don't have to have a pre-existing condition, or
Mhm.
anybody who wants to receive the medicine can come in and sign up for it. So that's one thing. Like the psilocybin service centers are going to be like the psilocybin will be administered by facilitators. So and you don't have to have like a mental health condition. Yeah, it's anyone who wants to receive the medicine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about ceremonial work for that? That's a lot cheaper.
Well, so that's, I mean, that's something else that has come up because, I mean, Stephen, as you know, that's the area of psychedelia that I'm most fascinated by, is the spiritual side of it. But and the truth is, people going into clinics and sitting with physicians, whether they like it or not, they may have a spiritual experience, and a physician might not be the best person to talk to. But this is still just the beginning. They had been lobbying in Portland. What were they? The
Plant Medicine Healing Alliance.
Yeah.
In Portland has been lobbying to make religious use, have there be allowances for religious use in addition to the medical use. And lawyer John Dennis has had a good conversation going with Psychedelics Today about pushing that through the religious use, so that people who do want that spiritual framework can experience it in that way as well.
Yeah, but right now the cultural wheels are turning more for the medical model. So that's why that's the one we're supporting. I mean, we support people's access to these medicines no matter what the reason is. So because of that, we just have to work within the confines of the law and what the law says we can do safely for everybody.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's a segue into going into some detail about your project then.
Absolutely.
Sure. And I would like to add that you know, there are a lot of conditions that, you know, like military dealing with PTSD, you know, people in, you know, with extreme traumas, you know, dealing with sexual assault and things like that, where I believe like maybe they can move on to a more spiritual framework. But initially, you know, a medical setting might be the best framework for someone like that. Absolutely. And where they're going to feel most comfortable initially if they don't have any spiritual framework. So yeah, I just think giving people the option, and until these things are further legitimized, I think this is where we have to start. But so yeah, and what we, I'll just go into it. What we started in 2018 was our own organization, Sanctum Psychedelia. Tom and I started volunteering for psychedelic organizations together. And we started working closely and realized we kind of had the same vision for how we wanted to contribute to the psychedelic renaissance. And put on a conference, built our website.
Mark helped us with
which
that
Mark
conference.
amazingly came down.
I was there.
And drove down, and yeah, and
sat in how many hours of traffic just to come be a great friend and help us out, man. That was awesome.
Well, it was my pleasure, and I was honored just to be there and to be part of it. It was a great experience. I'd never really been to Portland before, and to hang out with both you and Eden and all the great people that weekend was fantastic. And just to support your work as you support ours in Spirit Plant Medicine all the time. It was just one of those things that I was just honored and really happy to be part of. So thank you for that.
Thank you. You're an angel. Yeah. And yeah, it was amazing. And we, yeah, so this work has just kind of become our life, and we've looked for ways how to make this our life. I'm also a vintage and thrift store addict and have been for most of my life. And on one trip to a thrift store, I kind of got the idea that I might like to manage a thrift store someday. And then I thought that that would be great, but only if I could really, if the thrift store supported a vision, a cause that I really believed in. And that's how I put the two and two together, that if we could raise funds for psychedelic assisted therapy, I think it could really meet an unmet need that a lot of people are finding is pretty important right now.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about despair over the costs around Portland. And the truth is, I and Eden as well, like, we understand where these costs come from. They come from having to train people. They come from overhead for the facilities. They're going to come from insurance. Insurance is going to be a big one. So we're not here to despair at all. We're here to solve the problem. And we think that we can with Psanctum Thrift.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off, I love the fact, Eden, that you talk about loving thrift stores, because I spent many years, I love a good garage sale thrift store and things of that nature. And the finds that you can actually, pick up are really pretty cool. And I think it's a really unique model in terms of what you're contributing to, because so many of the thrift stores out there, Value Village, for example, is just, it's one of the big ones most people can identify with. However, they're also very much known for not necessarily donating or contributing as much as they could. It becomes big business and things of that nature. And I love that you're taking the time to focus on a really specific niche of an area that is really, really important for, as Stephen would agree, I'm sure, the betterment of humankind and humanity, right?
Yeah.
And when these things, because like you say, mushrooms themselves aren't that expensive, but everything around an infrastructure to make it available to people in that way, that's where the expense comes in. So I just want to honor you guys in your vision to do something completely out there that really has great potential.
Sure.
Yeah,
Well,
wonderful.
the thrift store, the idea is also in line with our mission, because the greater thing we're trying to do is give people access through finances. And we're going to do that with the clinics, again, starting with ketamine therapy and then hopefully working into MDMA and or psilocybin therapy, but also through the thrift store. One of the things about thrift stores that are so awesome is that they cater to every economic income. Everybody loves finding a treasure in a thrift store, and it makes household items that would be necessary for a family affordable to that family. So the larger message behind all of this is affordability and serving as a bridge to help people get access to both, the cookware and tchotchkes they want, and also the psychedelic assisted therapy that they need.
Well, I want to,
they want it.
I really want to add to that, because I also think, and this is kind of my opinion and experience, I've been in retail for years before my life in this work. And, we're such a consumer-driven, consumption-based society and culture that you're also doing a great service for the environment, because how much stuff gets purchased, thrown away, not used. Like, it's ridiculous the way we have been conditioned to be mass consumers of really shit, in my opinion, that most people don't need. There's things we need, and there's a whole bunch of crap that is just sales, marketing, and, in my opinion, bullshit.
Yeah.
So
Terrence McKenna once said, oh, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, well, he said we have to make it passé to buy anything new. And I think that in Oregon, I mean, Portland especially, it's kind of a mecca for thrift shoppers. Like, all the kids do it. It's fun to find the deal and, make something new and creative. And I was a independent vintage retailer for years. I love vintage shopping. To me, I like it. It wakens our dormant hunter-gatherer to go out and, find the treasure, the brightest berries. So
yeah. And Portland also, we were called by Business Insider the greenest city in America. And because we're so environmentally conscious, that's why our thrift culture, for lack of a better way of putting it, is so it booms around here. It was just the resale report from 2019 said that thrift stores and secondhand vintage shops put a stop to hundreds of thousands of tonnage of garbage every year. So it's like that. There's also, you know, if thrift shops are great on the environmental front as well. Yeah. So it all works together: environmentalism, psychedelia, and helping people. I mean, it's the trifecta of awesome.
Yeah, and for anybody who's considering contributing to the Kickstarter campaign that you're maybe going to say a bit more about in a minute, that, you know, they if they're watching this, hopefully they're starting to get clear by now that this is not just a pie in the sky, you know, wild idea. You know, as you just said, Eden, you've got experience in the vintage retail trade. So, you know, you guys know the nitty gritty about how to do this as well, right? The infrastructure, the sources for the materials that you sell, but blah, 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 right? Yeah. So this is, in other words, you know, I'm speaking to, you know, viewers, listeners here. This is a solid project worth supporting for, you know, multiple reasons, obviously.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, I mean, I've been selling in markets, selling online, and in a vintage shop for years. And yeah, so, and there's a huge community out here in Portland of vintage sellers and then makers. And we also, in addition to, you know, selling the vintage and thrift goods in the store, we also have a Psychedelic Education Center on site, which will hold archive and books. We'll have a psychedelic bookstore on site. Tom and I started an archive on our website, and Tom recently, Psanctum recently received the last of the remaining Timothy Leary collection, which we will be archiving and which will be available to all. So this place will also be a community meeting ground and a place for people to come in and have their questions answered. Tom will be available to do consultations with people, basic like microdosing questions and just, you know, basic psychedelic Q&A, and then get their,
they're basic questions about it. Most people have questions about microdosing. So, and that's an area that I feel very comfortable helping people with. And my favorite is when people ask me about the history, obviously.
Hey, Mark, you want to play that little video?
Yeah, that's right. We got a video.
We got a video, yes, of Tom and Eden walking through the center as they are getting the work for it to be prepared. So just, I lost it here for 1 second. Let me bring it up. Yeah. But I love that that you've got all of these things in one place, which is, you know, I think it's important that people have a place that they can go to. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So the Kickstarter, by the way, is to fund you guys getting this going while you're already paying rent, right?
Yeah, we have just some last minute renovations that we have to get done. And that's what we're hoping the Kickstarter can help with. It would help us open our doors way quicker so we could start helping people get access to the medicines they need.
Awesome. Well, here's a little video. I thought it was great. I love the before scenes here. Here we go.
Welcome to what will be the Psanctum Psychedelic Education Center and Nonprofit Thrift Store. I'm co-founder Eden Woodruff, and I'd like to show you around. As you can see, the space is pretty bare bones right now, but we have a big vision, so please come with us as we manifest the space into being. This is the main sales floor, where you will find quality secondhand and vintage goods. And each of these rooms will serve as portals to realms of fashion, home decor, accessories, and books. In this space, we will showcase the art of the Haven PDX, Portland's visionary art collective and healing arts center. As a nonprofit store, Psanctum Thrift will donate funds to the growing field of psychedelic therapy taking place in Portland, Oregon. Psychedelic therapy has been shown to combat addiction, depression, and PTSD, so these services directly correlate to building a healthier society. Proceeds will also go towards keeping culture alive in the city by supporting local artists, independent event spaces, and the Psanctum Psychedelic Education Center.
I'm Tom Hatzis, co-founder of Psanctum, and I'd like to show you what will become the Psanctum Psychedelic Education Center. As you can see, this room is still pretty bare bones, but with your support, we're going to transform it into a rare books library, reading room, and psychedelic bookstore. In this room, we will continue to build the Psanctum Psychedelic Library, an online repository of medical reports, journal articles, and other materials detailing the psychedelic experience from the 1800s to the present day. Also, I'm happy to say that Psanctum has acquired the last of the Timothy Leary archives still in private collection. We're going to make those papers available to everyone.
So if you're inspired by this vision,
and you value the psychedelic renaissance,
and quality thrift items,
and visionary culture, and education, and art,
and friendship, and community,
and healing,
then please consider making a donation to the Psanctum Thrift Kickstarter. There's a lot of good work to be done, and we're here for it. Thanks.
Much love from Psanctum!
Nice, very nice.
It's great.
How did you put that together? Did you put it in Final Cut Pro or something?
We actually use more primitive technologies than Final Cut. I wish I had Final Cut Pro. We used a video pad editor.
Well, looks great, and the space looks great too. Who are all those people? Are they all part of your team somehow?
So, a couple board members, and then the pictures that you saw of the art space, we throw an open mic every Monday. It's a part of the integration work that we do. And so they're mostly members of our open mic community that came in to help us out. And yeah.
And that have been a big part of Psanctum, essentially
Yes.
since its founding.
Totally.
They've been huge, as you know, in every which way possible.
Yeah, supporters.
Well, I think this is going to really take off. It's a wonderful idea, really.
Well, I think it'd be a lot of fun too, because I know you guys are a couple of fun-loving, easygoing, people who love to laugh and humor and enjoy life. So it's nice to have a space like that. And I love that you have the different defined spaces, like a defined space for art, a defined space for your education center, your defined space for your retail space. So you have nice little compartmentalized areas to keep the work contained in one, yet separated so that people can, if they're doing one thing, they're not interrupted by the other in that sense. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah, we're going to have a reading room in there as well for people, so that, because we have some rare books people might want to take a look at. So they'll all be there as well. We actually just put in an order. It finally arrived. I got, I think, 5 copies of Cannabis and Spirituality for the shop, and we're going to get some of the new one as well.
Cool. Hey, just in case there are people that are going to see this who may be younger and haven't been doing their reading, maybe you could just briefly say why the Timothy Leary collection is so kind of special.
Sure. Well, these are the last 33 boxes that were still in private collection. The bulk of Leary's materials are at the New York Public Library. These are just the rarity, like just last few little things of his, but there's some great stuff in there. We have Timothy Leary's wallet. We have a screenplay he was writing for Hollywood. And I mean, we've actually been so busy getting the shop up and running with the renovations and everything that we haven't even gone through all the boxes yet. So we don't even know everything that's in there yet. Although we have some of his unpaid parking tickets, which is cool.
So, but also, for those people that may not even know who he is, I mean, it seems obvious to us. Can you give us like the 25 words or less bio of who he actually was?
Sure. So Timothy Leary was instrumental in spreading for lack of a better way of putting it, the gospel of LSD to people in the United States and Canada and Europe as well. He is a complicated figure, as all people in history are. I have some of my differences with how he handled things, but
yeah, me too.
That's not to deny. I mean, the cultural relevance of this man, I mean, can't be denied. I mean, you don't have to agree with Genghis Khan in order to curate Genghis Khan's materials in a museum, you know?
Right. Well, Tim wasn't that bad.
No, he wasn't. He did not overthrow the Visigoths or anything like that.
No. He might have been a little, for such a genius, he might have been a little naive in some ways, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But still a very important figure in history. And
absolutely, yeah.
He did get some things right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you know, translated for, you know, practice, and it was he and his people that coined the term set and setting, wasn't it?
So I think that they coined dose, set, and setting as like putting the three together, but the idea of set and setting had been discussed in the 1950s.
Okay. But I think they kind of more like popularized it.
Yeah, exactly. They made it far more popular, but that also had a lot more to do with in the 1960s versus the 1950s, more people had televisions. So he just happened to come around, you know, because, you know, television, what was it, 1950s or so, 1955?
Yeah, late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, so not a lot of people had them. But by the time Leary was, you know, spreading the gospel of LSD in the middle to late 60s, far more people had televisions. And so it's, you know, his version of the medicine work, you know, had far more influence than anybody else did.
And if he did influence them, then they had inner televisions.
Yeah, exactly.
So now, will that material be available at your center to take a look at, or is that something you're going to archive in a completely different way?
So they're going to be archived twice over. They're going to be digitized, and so they're going to be digitized and put on both our website, psanctum.org, psanctum.org, and there's actually some articles up there now if anybody's interested in checking them out. So they're going to be on psanctum.org. They're also going to be on archive.org, just in case anything ever happens to the Psanctum website. And they're also, we told Bruce, as Stephen, you know, we're going to make hard copies of everything as well, because some of the newspaper clippings are so brittle that even just, you know, picking them up, I mean, they start to crack in your hand. So before that happens totally, we're going to be making hard copies as well, and try to preserve the originals as best we can while making the hard copies. Because again, some of them, it's like due to sun damage, the paper folded and they're brittle. So even trying to unfold it, they start to crack a little bit. So it's a tremendous amount of care that is being taken to preserve all of these materials. And I'm trained to do this stuff. So they'll all be taken care of the best possible way.
Well, I got to say, I love and respect your work as a historian as well, Tom. I always get a kick out of history, as controversial as it may be, depending on who you speak to. But it's things that make you go, something to think about, you know, which is really cool. But I know you're on a time crunch as well as I am. So let me ask you this. When's your goal to open the store and the center?
At this point, we're hoping for February 1st. We're working as hard as we can, getting these last, loose ends tied up, and it's all coming together. But the snowstorm held us back a little bit. Yeah. But February 1st is the goal as of right now.
Yeah, and by supporting the Kickstarter, we would be able to open a lot quicker.
Excellent. So where can people go to support the Kickstarter campaign for you?
Sure.
So it's right on our website. Probably the easiest way is to visit psanctum.org. That's psanctum.org. You'll see it right there, linked to right there, and you can watch the video, get our full description of everything the store is going to contain. And link right to the Kickstarter there. Yeah, and I believe also if you go to Kickstarter and just type in Psanctum Thrift,
we should come up. I would also like to add that on our website and our blogs, Eden wrote a very beautiful and powerful piece called My Prayer for Purpose that outlines, it kind of puts the entire vision together, and it's a very quick read, but I think it's very moving and touching personally. And so if somebody has, you know, an extra, minute and a half to take a look at that, it's powerful stuff, that the magic that this woman is putting into the world. Very powerful.
So this was her idea originally too, right? Right, Eden? Yeah.
It's her idea.
The thrift store, I knew we wanted to have a physical center of some kind.
Well,
but
we've had for a year.
But combining it with the thrift store, I felt like was the way to really support this thing. Something I love, I know a lot of other people love, to help bring all of the pieces together. Yeah,
we've had a psychedelic education center for a year now in our building, The Haven, which was in that video. We talked about the community art spaces. So we've had that, and now, you know, we happily are in a place where we're ready to expand into a larger education center with these museum artifacts and also all the thrift store stuff.
What's the address, by the way, of the store?
Sure. It's in Southeast Portland. Do you want the full address?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, for anyone who wants to go there.
Sure.
Yeah.
When we're open, it's going to be 4033 Southeast Milwaukee Avenue, Portland 97202.
Great plan. May it be blessed.
Yeah, it's in the Brooklyn neighborhood. For anybody familiar with Portland, it's in the Brooklyn neighborhood, right on Milwaukee in the Brooklyn neighborhood.
Fantastic. All right. Anything else you guys want to say about your project before we let you roll?
I want to say thank you, because you have, Mark and Stephen have been just the warmest figures to us always, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you and working with you. And that's it.
And we could really use the help and support to get this running. We want to show people how successful this can be, to potentially serve as a model or a vanguard, or we would be the vanguard, to serve as a model in other cities for how these things can take place. As one example, in Boise, Idaho, there are ketamine therapy clinics, but there's no business that I'm aware of in Boise actually helping defray the costs. So we'd like to show people like how this can be done, realistically how it can be done, so that it can be duplicated, and we can really, you know, put our foot on the gas of building a psychedelic society here.
Brilliant.
Beautifully
Great vision. Yeah.
Because I certainly believe that these medicines need to be affordable and accessible to everybody and anybody who feels that it may benefit them. And, you know, as we know, some of the medicines aren't expensive themselves, but it's the infrastructure around that. And I personally never like to see money get in the way of people's growth, transformation, and healing. So I just want to thank you and honor you for the work you're doing to, you know, find a different way to do things and have fun doing it. Because I know Eden certainly will, because she loves thrift. And Tom, I know you certainly will, because you love history, research, and psychedelics. So what a match.
Yeah, and she loves history and psychedelics as much as I love thrift as well. So it's like, it's a match made in thrift heaven. It's awesome.
Oh, lovely.
Perfect.
Lovely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you both so much.
Always a pleasure. Anytime you want to connect and when you get ready to open up, reach out. Let's get on board again and show people around what you've created.
Absolutely, Mark. Thanks so much. And we'll see you guys in 2023 at some point, I'm sure. Either you planning on going to MAPS?
Not sure.
Not sure? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's not that far to Portland from here, from Vancouver. An easy little jaunt to come down and visit you guys and see the place as well.
Yeah, don't do it on a Friday afternoon at about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
We won't make that mistake again, Mark. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Again, we got to start planning our next Gaian Mind Conference, and I do believe Stephen is on our list of speakers, so we will be seeing you in 2023, I believe.
Oh, we will. We'll be in touch a lot. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.